All right, U.S. versus Carroll Towing. So a barge unmoors and it damages another ship, right? So there are three things to consider here, right? You have to consider the probability that a bad thing will happen, the gravity of that badness, and the burden in preventing it will cause the preventer. Basically, this is it's called the hand test, and you multiply the gravity and the probability of the bad thing, and then if those things are less than the burden to prevent it, they should always be liable. This is the hand test. It's a very famous test. It's a very nonsense test. You might say, why is it nonsense? Because it's not a real test. Even Hand says it's not a real test. What he does say is that it's a good shorthand. Because in a third of torts cases, 50%, 90%, 100%, whatever the percent is, in some percent that's less than 100, it's not 100, in some percent less than 100, it will be obvious if it's less, right? So it's a good shorthand to think of. But it's not super effective, right? There are economic theories of torts that you can go out there and find. But, not all damages can easily be put to number, right? You break my arm, it heals in 6 weeks. I'm a law student. So I'll be fine, right? I already have problems writing. I have an injured shoulder, so I can't really use this arm anyway. And so you didn't reduce my productivity in any real sensible way. Okay, so there's no calculation based off that of actual physical harm to my financial well-being. Okay, what about my mental well-being? Oh, I don't know. I'm a fairly stable guy. I think if I broke my arm, I'd be all right mentally for a little bit. And what about physical? Well, the arm's already messed up, so long-term, not much. I guess you have to pay my medical bills, obviously, but what about pain and suffering? How do you scale that? So it's not always useful, but it's a good idea to have that there, right? If the probability of the thing is so low or the badness is so great, then you can start looking at this. But if it's not obvious in this test, basically this test is good when it's obvious. That's kind of the point I'm trying to make here. So the court rules that a person should be, sorry, so they say a person should have been aboard the barge to take care of it during normal business hours, unless they had no good reason to be aboard, or basically a good reason not to be aboard. And the other party, the barge, had no reason for there not to be someone aboard. He's like, the guy wanted to go and, I think, make out with his girlfriend, actually. I think that's what it was. I remember a girlfriend being involved. And so they provided no good reason, right? The burden is less than the probability times the loss. And so the person is liable, right? The cost of having somebody to watch and make sure your ship isn't damaged is approximately, 24 hours of labor a day times whatever it costs to buy labor in whatever year this happened in. And bada bing, bada boom. You've got a pretty clear case of damages. And the probability is pretty high. If you're not watching your barge, all you have to secure it is a rope. I'm a Boy Scout. I put a lot of faith in rope. I don't put that much faith in rope. That's why you put 2 ropes on, so it's completely safe. I'm a climbing instructor. That's a classic joke, Oh, don't worry. No. The rope's not safe. But the ropes together, very safe. All right. Mind you, this is true. The rope we use is rated for 15,000 pounds. So your tiny little Boy Scout not going to cause a problem. We actually, every once in a while, we would tie a truck with the rope. One rope. Pull the truck up the tower just to prove a point. We didn't pull it very far up because the tower was actually less stable than the ropes. Shh, don't tell the kids that. We were told, do not tell the kids that the rope is actually the most stable part of the entire thing. This one went a little long, but this is an important case that you really do need